The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Velasquez. Alderwoman Sanye.
Testing.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Keys.
Testing.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Aldridge. President Green.
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Velasquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Boyd. 8 present, you have quorum.
A quorum being present, we will be led in opening reflection and prayer by Community Leader Jamala Rogers.
Thank you for the opportunity to open up Black History Month 2024 in the city of St. Louis. Malcolm X reminded us that Black history did not begin in chains, and that's true. Africans are the original people dating back some 4 million years. Africa is the cradle of all civilization, gifting to the world mathematics, astronomy, philosophy, medicine, architect, and agriculture, and so much more. The expanse of this marvel is too much to squeeze in the few minutes I have here today, but let me tell you, unrestricted brilliance of my people has been difficult to document. Make no mistake, our contributions are indisputable and ubiquitous. Today, I want to focus on a sliver of that continuum. From about 1400, when Africans were first brought to the North American continent, already inhabited by red nations, up to 1865, when the so-called Emancipation Proclamation ended chattel slavery. Those 400 years are a blip in time, but one very important to those of African descent. Even as a person of African descent today, in 2024, I am still absolutely astounded by our survival and the slow, torturous metaphors us back to humanity that we once knew. This was a brutal and savage form of captivity and enslavement, and perhaps the most brutal in the world. The most violent forms of dehumanization were enforced. The more our spirit and creativity were suppressed, the more our genius was determined to rise and shine. I am utterly fascinated by what Africans were able to achieve and produce during this period of time, and are still contributed in spite of the not-so-hidden chains of racial oppression. Black folks have always made it easier and enjoyable for everyone. Many of our inventions were stolen or lost, but hundreds more are incorporated into our daily lives. Inventions like the dustpan, gas mask, the fire escape, fountain pen, refrigerator truck, super soaker, home security system, an automatic gear shift, folding chair, the golf tee, lawn sprinkler, elevator doors, ice cream scoop, radiator detection, the stew lasting machine, dry cleaning fluid, and so much more. I wonder if people would actually stop at a stop sign, at a stoplight, if they knew Garrett Morgan, a Black man, invented it to save lives. And what about Black music, the soundtrack of America? Jive, gospel, hip hop, boogie woogie, ragtime, jazz, disco, funk, go-go, soul, zydeco. Everybody wants the rhythm, but nobody wants the blues. And we've taught the world to dance, but we can teach it so much more. Black folks are the moral compass in this country, the fiercest defenders of democracy, for those trying to erase our history, suppress our culture, deny our human rights. we want to let you know we are here to stay. For African people will survive in spite of all, for as long as the sun shines and the rivers flow. Ashe.
All right, I think I got the mic correct now. We will dispense with the regular order of business to take up the special order of the day. Presentation on Resolution 177. Alderwoman from the 12th and Mr. Lawrence and honored guests, please approach the dais.
All right. I'm nervous. You never decide. Good morning. Madam President, members of the board, this is indeed an honor. It's very seldom that I am able to stand with somebody who's been at the city as long as I have. I started in the Board of Aldermen as the 20th Ward Alderwoman in April of 1991. Our honored guest, Mr. Former Marshal Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr., started in December of 1990. So we have been doing a lot of work together. A lot of his time has been at the Board of Aldermen, so you should know his face. I was very sad to hear that he was retiring. He's gotten shot. He's taken all kind of hits, been at the Marshal's office, the city of St. Louis. He's been in many different spots, but he is always a professional person with a smile every time I see him. I would ask if the clerk could read his resolution, please.
Resolution 177, recognizing the retirement of Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr. Whereas Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr. began employment for the City of St. Louis Security Department on December 7, 1991. And whereas Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr. became a marshal in 1993 when the Marshal Office took control of the St. Louis City Security Department. Whereas Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr. grew up in the old boundaries of the 1st Ward, which is currently within the boundaries of the new 12th Ward, but grew up in several different wards in the City of St. Louis. Whereas during his time working for the city, Lawrence met his wife, LaVonda, and after 5 years of courtship, they've been married for 10 years. They have 3 children and 2 grandchildren. Whereas Marshal Shanklin, Jr. served in every position in the Marshal's office, including being a supervisor. Some of his time was spent as a marshal assigned to protect the members of the Board of Aldermen and the chambers of the Board of Aldermen. He was known to everyone in the Marshal's office and also to many in City Hall as a dedicated and loyal employee. He has described his 30 years in the Marshal's office as some of the best years of his employment life. Whereas Lawrence Shanklin, Jr. knows that his parents are smiling down from heaven on him and his accomplishments. Whereas on Tuesday, November 7, 2023, Marshal Shanklin completed his paperwork to retire from the employment of the City of St. Louis after 32 years with the effective date of December 31st, 2023. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberation to recognize Lawrence W. Shanklin, Jr. for 32 years of service with the City of St. Louis, and we wish him continued success, accomplishment, and enjoyment during his life in retirement. We further direct the clerk of the board to spread a copy of this resolution across the minutes of the proceedings, to prepare a commemorative copy to an end that it may be presented at a time and place deemed appropriate by the sponsor. Introduced by the Honorable Sharon Tyus, 12th Ward Alderwoman, and the co-sponsors include Alderwoman Shameen Clark-Hubbard, Alderwoman of the 10th Ward.
Thank you. Larry is a person of few words. He and his wife and I have been corresponding, and she says she's a person of few words, but he comes from a large, close family, and I am going to take this time to present him this resolution and give him and his wife and any other people that he brought with him as a special guest, which his brothers, his sisters, his mother-in-law, and he can introduce his children. Okay, he's too young to have children. And any of those people who would like to address how a special person he is, I am just honored to have known him. The city is losing someone at a time when we cannot find people to work in our departments, to have somebody who has been so committed that they have been here for 32 years. It's amazing. We ought to have some kind of parting gift from the city when people that long, because people are not loyal like that anymore. And it brings tears to my eyes to know that we still have people like Larry, is who I call him. And I'd like to present this resolution in honor of your 32 years of service and for your retirement. And congratulations. He's not used to being at this end because he's usually over in that corner. Give it to your wife.
All right.
Say thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for the resolution. Thank you, Alderwoman Tyus. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not a person of many words unless I have to be, but it has been a pleasure working with the city, and I really don't know what to say. I'm just, I'm actually shocked that I got this, but when Alderwoman Tyus called me and asked me to give her some information, I was floored. But you ready to talk?
Say thank you.
I just want to say thank you again, and I'm gonna look forward to my retirement.
There you go.
At this time, I'd like to introduce my family. I have my wife, who has been driving me crazy.
What's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Lavonda. I have my mother-in-law, Ann. I have my oldest son, Cameron, my daughter, Jordan. I have my brother, Greg, my sister, Rochelle, and my sister, Michelle. All right. Anybody have anything? Right.
On behalf of Lawrence and myself, I just want to thank the city. And honey, I just want to thank you for all your hard work and dedication here in the city. And he's going to miss you all because he still talks about everything that has happened in his 32 years of retirement. So once again, thank you all for the recognition.
Okay, nobody else say anything, Madam President?
From all of us here at the Board of Aldermen, we just want to let you know how much we have appreciated you and all of your work for so many years. Have fun in your retirement. Drive him even more crazy. That's what retirement's for. But thank you for your service to the city, and your next years are well deserved. Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 10th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Shank, I can call you that now since you're in retirement. Thank you for your service to the family. Thank you all for sharing him with us. Just as much as Yolanda, he talked about us to y'all, he talked about y'all to us. At least I know to me, he was very proud of his family. And the other thing I add to that, when he said he don't talk a lot, I know we'll move a lot if it needs to move, right? Do we understand what we're saying? He don't talk a lot, but he will make a shake, right? Because he always felt protected. So thank you so much for your service. Yolanda, thank you for sharing him, for your service. And I wish you all Godspeed in your next journey in your life travels. I know for you all the best yet to come.
Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you, Madam President. I too just want to take a moment to thank you for has been really wonderful, sharing some exchanges, some jokes, some kind of heated moments down here at the Board of Aldermen from time to time, and you've always handled it like a true champion with grace and determination and just a great sense of humor sometimes too. And so I know that this is not the end of anything. It's the new chapter in life, and I think that you've done such a remarkable job here for the city and the citizens of our city, and just want to personally thank you for all of those years of service.
Alderman from the 5th.
Thank you. First of all, may I request that we pass this en banc?
So this resolution was passed at a previous meeting.
Okay, I forget. I'm getting older too.
Presentation.
Because when I first met Shank, I didn't need glasses. I didn't have gray hair. It was about 21 years ago. And enjoy your retirement, but if you're like my father, 8 months afterwards, he went back to work because my mother made him work harder at home than he did have at his job. So consider that, and then congratulations.
Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. As I say, Unc, as young folks who say Auntie, TT, Unc. But I just want to thank you also for your service in the city of St. Louis. I think you said 37, 34 years that you've been working. I'm only 29, so you've been putting in a lot of hard work for this city for a very long time. From my time at the license collector or the recorder of deeds or working for the treasurer's office, you've always been great. When I walked in, we've had great conversations. I just appreciate all the support that you've given me, words of encouragement. Sometimes I was on the opposite end as the protester trying to open up the doors, and you had to make sure everybody was safe, and then to go outside to inside. You've just always showed me love. So thank you for your dedication. I hope you enjoy retirement.
Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 8th.
Thank you, Madam President. I too just wanted to add my thanks and gratitude over the many years. Your pleasant demeanor and just welcoming smile every day when we come down here, even on those days when we may not want to be here. It's been really helpful. And so I hope you enjoy your time. Thank you.
Any further? Testing. Okay, now we're working. We just all are so grateful for you, for your work over these years. And as you see, there's a lot of love in this room for you. So congratulations on your retirement, and don't be a stranger. Okay. Okay. with that, we will continue to dispense with the regular order of business to take up the special order of the day. The courtesy resolution calendar. Alderwoman from the 11th, you are recognized on 185.
She must can't hear. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think she can hear us.
Testing, testing, testing.
Yes.
I was here when she came and when she left. Good morning. Today I'm adding a new title to the Alderwoman from the 20th, 1st, and 12th. Today I am the Alderwoman from the 11th, since she cannot hear us and cannot return. Maybe she hears us, but we can't hear her. This is such an honor to be. Oh, hey.
Hey,
Oh, well, I can step out the way and let you take over. Okay.
Step too far because I know you have a connection as well. Good morning, Madam President, members of the board. What an honor to have been in the presence so many times of this great lady. So today we have a resolution for retiring Alderwoman, former Alderwoman of the 21st Ward, former first Black female Alderwoman of the 21st Ward. Can you please read the resolution?
Resolution 185, honoring Bonice Jones King. Whereas this Honorable Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis has learned of the upcoming birthday celebration and retirement party for the former Alderwoman Bonice Jones King to be held Friday, February the 2nd, 2024 in the Kennedy Room. Whereas Bonice was born on February the 1st and comes from a long line of public servants who served at both the local and state levels. Whereas following those footsteps, Bonice worked in the service of others in the state government level, as well as her most notable role as the first elected woman of the 21st Ward, where she served our community with dignity and grace for 14 years. Whereas concern for others, as Alderwoman, she sponsored and co-sponsored board bills and resolutions focused on community development, racial equity, women's rights, youth development, senior issues, community safety, and ending discrimination. Whereas, as a true child of the King, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, she lives on consistent obedience and abiding devotion to God in the practice of her faith, which is first and central in her very existence. Whereas the love for her family, devotion to her earthly and heavenly friends and family reigns supreme in her spirit, mind, and heart. Whereas God sent Bonice a protective, loving, and compassionate husband, Ronald King. And whereas God further blessed them with two sons, Fortune and Justice, whom she lovingly have crowned as her Lion's Angel warriors, who now resides with our Heavenly Father. And whereas still serving the community, she later moved on to the private sector where she served as the after-school coordinator for Innovative Concept Academy, a position she held with honor, care, and excellence. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Honorable Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberation to recognize the numerous accomplishments, achievements, and contributions of Ms. Bonice Jones King on the occasion of her birthday and retirement, and wish her a happy birthday and all best in her retirement and future endeavors. We further direct the clerk of this board to spread a copy of this resolution across the minutes of these proceedings and prepare a commemorative copy to the end that it may be presented at a time and place deemed appropriate by the sponsor. Introduced this second day of February 2024 by the Honorable Laura Keys, Alderwoman of the 11th Ward.
Alderwoman from the 11th, you may proceed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you again, Madam President and members of the board. There are so many wonderful things that we can say about this true public servant who has been with our city for so many years, and as we've heard the great accomplishments. I am honored to have been involved with this celebration that she will be having today. We got our wires crossed. I asked her about coming yesterday. She said, "Oh no, so she's here today. I'm so sorry that I am not there in person." But Bonice, we love you. We thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you are and all that you have given to our city and to our community and to our 21st ward. You are a true jewel in our city's crown. And congratulations and happy birthday to you.
Did you want to say something, Sharon? I want to say thank you, Alderwoman Keys. It's good to be able to say Alderwoman Keys. So many times during the time of my time in the 21st Ward as the Alderwoman, she wasn't my Alderwoman, so it's an honor to say congratulations to her to be the Alderwoman now of the ward that I so happily served. And I want to say, though, this is my second time standing here as my departure from the Board of Aldermen, and now to be saying farewell to the city of St. Louis. I want to also thank all of that has made and cultivated and molded me to be who I am, and it is thanks to the city as a whole. Leaving my new position as a neighborhood improvement specialist, I felt it easy to fall into that position, to serve that position, because it was pretty much doing the same things from the passion of being an alderman so long in serving. And so I just want to say that it's not goodbye to the city, because I'm going to always be around and trying to help as much as I possibly can. I might get in some people's way, but it's from the heart. And I love the city of St. Louis, and I love the people who have been a part and involved in my life and helping me to be the person that I am. So I say thank you to all of you. And I love the fact that I'm getting a resolution again.
I have to be the first to speak behind Bonice, because I was here when she got here. I also was the first woman to ever serve from the 20th Ward. They'd always had men. And when she came a few years later, we were the 1-2 punch up and down Natural Bridge. I loved working with her. She's a kind person, a kind-spirited person, easy to work with, but don't mistake her kindness for weakness. She also was the first woman to have a baby at this Board of Aldermen. Okay, her second son was born when she was an alderwoman. This is appropriate that it is this Black History Month, because Bonice really came down here. He came down here twice because they went after her for no reason, and she knows that I worked to get her right back in. We recalled the person who went after her, and we put her right back in her seat. Hey, she knows what we've done and worked together. I love her dearly. I have been fortunate that she's been my neighborhood improvement specialist. I've grieved with her. I knew both of her sons, and I grieve about her loss of her sons. They were beautiful people. She has a beautiful marriage to her husband. I know all of her family, her cousins, her mother, everybody. She is like an extended sister to me. And so I feel very honored to be here to tell you what a great person this is. And if this has not been passed in embank, or if I would ask that it would be passed in embankment. And want to tell you that if you ever want to come back to the city, we were going to find a spot for you, okay? Because right now, she is taking care of herself as she should. She is taking herself. It is unfortunate of what she's had to go through and still stand here with a smile on her face. She's a wonderful person. Thank you for all that you have done. Natural Bridge misses you. I'm going to call you anyway, because she and I really worked on cleaning up Natural Bridge. She started all kind of housing developments in the 21st Ward. She started community groups in the 21st Ward. I know we shared pin rolls all the time that she was there. So she was one of the best alderpersons that I worked with that was neighboring, except for that one that's over there in the 11th Ward now, in the 13th. I'm going to say those exceptions, but I just really appreciate her, and I miss her, and I was so happy when she became my neighborhood improvement specialist, and I'm happy for her that she is taking care of herself. Bonice Jones King, Alderwoman Bonice Jones King, I love you and congratulations on your retirement.
Give her an extra hug from me.
It was moved by the Alderwoman from the 12th that we make Resolution 185 in bank. It's seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 10th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I just want to thank you and echo the gratitude for the service, the immeasurable service that you have given to the city of St. Louis, right? And you know, I just humbly appreciate the example that you have set for other women like me, Black women that step in these footsteps behind you, the grace, you know, the uncompromised, unforgivable level, the way that you show up authentically yourself, the way that you encouraged me, especially the last time we talked, and then the way that I've been able to be there to encourage you. In your darkest times, you continue to be one of the brightest lights here. You truly do. And I hope that nobody ever makes you feel any way differently about any of the decisions you have made on behalf of your city that you love. And I hope you continue to get in people's way when they need you, when we need you to get in their way. I wish you guys speed as well. I know the best is yet for you to come, and anything you know, me and the family are a phone call away.
Alderwoman from the 13th.
I don't have to say a lot because she already know how I feel, because we would have the meetings, and I'm just going to say she was the best NIS because she had been in the shoes that we're walking in now. So that's how people couldn't understand how she was knowledgeable enough to know how to make things happen. Sometimes you had to slow Bonice down because Bonice will get the rolling and you like, hold it, wait a minute, stop. Let's rethink this. Because she was a go-getter. She was compassionate. She is compassionate. She's not was, she is. She's a go-getter, and she fights for the community that she works for. So keep that heart that you have, that you know that we love you unconditionally. Everybody in our team has your back. If you need us for anything, don't hesitate to call. And enjoy yourself, Bonice, because I know it's hard.
Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to take a moment to thank Bonice, not only for her, years of service as an NIS, but, as it's also been recognized, your years of service down here at the Board of Aldermen. I didn't have the pleasure of serving with you. I got elected right as you were kind of transitioning into a different chapter in life, but I recognize the hard work that you put into your neighborhoods. I frequently visit friends and just spend quite a bit of time in North St. Louis. And, it's very clear that there are, some neighborhoods in North St. Louis that just have, so much potential in them. And you see it every time that you're in those communities, the people, the buildings, the homes. And you represented an area in North St. Louis that, it is just beautiful. Penrose, O'Fallon neighborhoods are some of my favorite neighborhoods in North St. Louis. Aside from, actually, there's quite a few. Mark Twain is pretty there, but O'Fallon and Penrose, I think, are people don't understand the beauty that's in these neighborhoods. Both from an infrastructure perspective, and the people themselves are just absolutely incredible. And so I know that you care about those communities. You have continued to represent those communities in different ways in city government and outside of city government. And I know that those people love you so much and appreciate everything that you have always done for them in your service to not only them, but our city as a whole. And it's sad to see you closing this chapter, but it's super exciting that you have a new chapter that you're exploring in life. And I am really hoping that I will be able to boogie with you at the retirement party. But I really do want to recognize you and thank you for everything that you've done, Bonice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I also want thank Ms. King for her years of service to the city of St. Louis. You served. I also didn't serve with you, but all the work that you've done by laying the foundation has made it easier for young alder people like myself and Alderwoman Sonia to be able to run as you kick the door open. I've had the opportunity to work with you when I was committee man and you was at Blewett School, and I always just appreciated not just the love that I seen you pour into those young people. And at Blewett, those are kind of our most roughest and toughest, but they had the person at that school that was able to put love and nurture into them young people, like you did myself as a committee person. You taught me a lot. You opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me, and you just gave me a lot of knowledge at a young age. And again, I just appreciate all the hard work that you've done for other young people to now stand on your great shoulders and not to disappoint you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alderman from the 5th.
Light. There we go. Hi, Bonice. Last time I saw you was at the tavern. I guess this is make me feel old day because I think I'm the only one to serve with you besides Sharon and the clerk here. So good to see you again, and congratulations on everything. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I too just wanted to congratulate you. Obviously didn't get a chance to serve with you, but I'm always going to take my hat off, especially being in a row. I know how it is, but also I can imagine how it was being one of the first, Black women to pave the way. And obviously, I hope you can look at the board now and see now it's not unusual or abnormal for a Black woman to get to serve as an alderperson. People don't flinch as much or have, I'm sure, some of the same vitriol reactions you might have experienced. So just thank you for your service and your commitment. And also, I hope that you get a lot of rest, a lot of restoration. I know you've spent a nice portion of your life answering everybody's calls. I hope you get to do things for yourself and for your personal enjoyment in this next chapter of your life.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Well, from all of us here at the Board of Aldermen, we want to wish you a very happy retirement. Have a feeling, though, that even though you're going into retirement, doesn't mean that we're not going to see you around City Hall anymore. But try to enjoy these years, take some time off, maybe go to a beach. But we really want to thank you for not just your service to the city of St. Louis, but also for being such a trailblazer. So thank you and enjoy your retirement. Yes, we'll do one more picture over here. Yeah, so he'll just do it from the floor. Okay. Shane. All right, Alderman from the 3rd, you are recognized on the suspension of the rules for the purposes of introducing resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to move to suspend the rules for the purposes of introducing Resolution 186.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 3rd, seconded by the Alderman from the 4th, that we suspend the rules for the purposes of introducing Resolution 186. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Narayan. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus. 14 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion. The Alderman from the 3rd on the suspension of the rules for introducing Resolution 186. Alderman from the 3rd, you may.
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution number 186 is a resolution honoring the late Jean Carnahan, U.S. Senator from the state of Missouri, former First Lady of the state of Missouri, mother to former Congressman Russ Carnahan and former Secretary of State Robin Carnahan, and several other young people, well, not young so much anymore, but kids. I just don't like calling adults kids, but so Jean passed away this week, and she inspired many people across the state and across the city. I was an avid follower of her food blog, goodfoodstl.com. She really was a champion for young people and for St. Louis in particular. After her tenure in the Senate, she moved to the St. Louis region. Many of her family lives here in the St. Louis region. And just wanted to take a moment, if we could, to have a moment of silence for the Honorable Jean Carnahan.
Could please take a moment of silence.
Thank you, Madam President. The resolution, I think, if the clerk could read it, does outline much of Miss Carnahan's accomplishments in life.
Resolution 186, celebrating the life and contributions of the Honorable Jean Ann Carnahan. Whereas Jean Ann Carpenter was born on December 30th, 1933 in Washington, D.C., where her working-class family would strive to raise a well-educated and impactful woman. Her parents were hard-working, mother Avina Carpenter and father Reginald Carpenter, a plumber. Whereas she would attend Anacostia High School, where she would sit next to her future husband, Mel, in class. While attending George Washington University, she received a degree in business and public administration in 1955, proudly being the first member in her family to graduate from high school and college. Jean and Mel were married on June 12, 1954, and relocated to the Show Me State 2 years later. As residents of Raleigh, Mel opened a law practice in 1959, sparking an interest in politics. Jean would lean in to support her husband and his political ambitions by assisting and running all 20 of his campaigns. Whereas Miss Jean Carnahan and Mel raised 4 children, Russ, Robin, Tom, and Randy, which will follow in their footsteps of their parents in law and politics. Whereas the First Lady of the state of Missouri from 1993 to 2000, she focused on on-site daycare center for working families, child immunization, abuse centers, arts, and Habitat for Humanity. Whereas an avid writer, First Lady Jean Carnahan will write 2 books about Missouri's If Walls Could Talk, the story of Missouri's first family, and Christmas at the Mansion in 1990. During the 2000 election, Governor Carnahan entered the race for Missouri's Senate seat and tragically killed in an airplane crash, along with their son, Randy. Whereas acting Governor Roger B. Wilson announced that he would appoint First Lady Carnahan if her husband were to posthumously win election, making her effectively the Democrat candidate by proxy. Due to the outpouring support from the Missourians astonished by her grit and grace in the face of such tragedy, First Lady Jean Carnahan accepted Wilson's appointment and was appointed to the United States Senate in 2001 and will hold the seat until 2002 special election. Whereas in 2004, proudly Carnahan's son, Russ Carnahan was elected to Congress for the House of Representatives, and her daughter, Robin Carnahan, was elected Missouri Secretary of State. Jean Carnahan will return to live in Clayton, Missouri, to continue her investment in the people of Missouri and her writings. Whereas the Honorable Jean Carnahan will continue to write 6 more books, one of them notably titled after her phrase used during the 2000 campaign to elect her husband to the Senate after his death, "Don't Let the Fire Go Out." Whereas the Honorable Jean Carnahan in her later years took a prominent role entertaining and educating the public about St. Louis food community through her blog, goodfoodstl.com. Whereas the Honorable Jean Carnahan passed away while in hospice care in St. Louis County on January 30th, 2024, at the age of 90. She is remembered for her many qualities, including her deep and abundant love for the people of the great state of Missouri. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that we, the members of the City of St. Louis Board of Aldermen, do hereby express our gratitude and appreciation for the Honorable Jean Ann Carnahan, and pause in our deliberation to recognize her life, investments, and contributions as a mother, a wife, a senator, and an activist for the state of Missouri. Introduced this 2nd day of February 2024 by the Honorable Shane Cone, Alderman of the 3rd Ward, and the following co-sponsors: President Megan Green, the Honorable Ann Schweitzer, Thomas Odenberg, Brett Narayan, Joseph Valmer, Daniela Velasquez, Alicia Sanier, Kara Spencer, Michael Browning, Shameen Clark-Hubbard, Laura Keys, Pamela Boyd, and Rasheen Aldridge. Adopted this 2nd day of February 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you all for indulging me. She had a life well lived, and I truly, want to pay my respects to the Carnahan family in their moment of loss, and certainly wish them well in their healing as they deal with, Jean's transition in life.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 6th.
This on? Alderman Cone for presenting this resolution. I just want to add that there is going to be a public memorial service for former Senator Carnahan. It's 10 a.m. next Saturday at the Sheldon, and want to just pay my respects to all the work that she did and the legacy she left in our state and her public service.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adopt the courtesy resolution calendar.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, I move that we adopt the courtesy resolution calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we adopt the courtesy resolution calendar. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? Alderwoman from the 11th.
Thank you again, Madam President, members of the board. This morning, I have gained a new family member. I'm a mother of 4 sons, and I have 1 daughter-in-law already, and I have gained another one as of this morning. In Germany, they were married at noon, but it was 5 a.m. here in St. Louis, and we were able to virtually be guests at the wedding of my son, Philip James Keys, and Anna Nicola Martine, which is now Anna Nicola Keys. So I am very, very happy to welcome another daughter in love. And I am just so happy for this young couple as they venture out into life. Additional, let's see, my other honored guest is Sheriff Vernon Betts. And I am so sorry that I am not there to be with Bonice this morning. So that is it for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Any further introduction of honored guests? Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam Clerk and members of the board. As my honor guest today, even though Ms. Keys we borrow him back and forth. I don't know how she is able to see him up in the gallery from her brick building, but my guest also is Sheriff Betts from the mighty 14th Ward. Also, I see former Alderwoman Ms. Dwayne Evans, and also as my honored guest, Jacoby Combs, a young, amazing young man that's doing great work in the city of St. Louis, very active with the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association, as well as my former colleague, my sister, fabulous State Representative Kimberly Ann Collins from the 77th District. It's an honor to be able to work with her, but also as I transition down to the board, even though I'm not in the State House with her, we still do a lot of great work because her district and my ward touch. So I want to have them as my honor guests. If the Board of Aldermen can give them another round of applause since y'all didn't let me finish.
Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board. Who's had this? They must have gave me Kirsten. Alderwoman from the 8th, I'm sorry. Okay, I would like to mention that yesterday we had a flag raising, and we only have 3 members of the Black Caucus, and so we decided to call members of the former Black aldermen that were there, and in a matter of a day, I want to make my special guest, first of all, Steve Roberts, who was the alderman of the 20th before I was the alderwoman of the 20th. His brother, Mike Jones, they were from the 19th Ward, was there, and they had a dynamic duo here, brother team. Mike Jones was from the 21st Ward, and he showed up. Brandon Bosley, formerly of the 3rd Ward, showed up. Dwayne Evans of the 4th Ward showed up. Bonice Jones-King of the 21st Ward was there. Frank Williamson of the 26th Ward was there. James Page of the 5th Ward was there. Terry Kennedy of the 18th Ward was there. Jesse Todd of the 18th Ward was there. Chris Carter Jr. of the 27th Ward was there. We had a marvelous turnout. It was a wonderful event, and I want all those people to thank them for showing up for the raising, for the 10th anniversary of the raising of the Pan-African American flag, and they are all my special guests. Thank you so much.
Further introduction of honored guests, Alderwoman from the 7th. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I just want to make all of my honored guests be, every Black person who might be watching, who's in our community, every Black leader that has ever fought for us all to get here and be where we are. I had an excellent time at the raising of the African Pan flag. Alderman Kennedy gave an excellent speech about our history. And so I just wanted to acknowledge the contribution of everyone. And just say Happy Black History Month to us, and I look forward to all of us working together to move our folks forward.
Any further introduction of honored guests? Any further introduction of honored guests? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the approval of the minutes from Friday, January 26, 2024.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we approve the minutes from Friday, January 26, 2024.
Second. It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we approve the minutes from Friday, January 26, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the Google Drive for your review. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individual to the appointment of Industrial Development Authority, the reappointment of Vincent Young, and the appointment of Pamela Neal. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Industrial Development.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we place the reappointments to the Industrial Development Authority in the HUD's committee.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we send the mayor's appointments to the Industrial Development Authority to the HUD's committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individual for appointment to the Art Museum Subdistrict. The appointment of Keith Williamson, I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones.
Alderman from the 9th, you're recognized on Mayor Jones' appointment to the Art Museum Subdistrict.
Thank you. I move that we accept the mayor's appointment of Keith Williamson to the Art Museum Subdistrict.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 9th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st, that we approve Mayor's appointment to the Art Museum Subdistrict. Is there any discussion? Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board, if the Alderman from the 9th would yield.
Would the Alderman from the 9th yield to questioning from the Alderwoman from the 12th?
Yes.
Alderwoman, you may proceed.
Thank you. Alderman from the 9th, is the Art Museum Subdistrict a locally committee or appointment? Is it a committee appointment for just only the 9th Ward, or is it for citywide?
I believe it's not just for the 9th Ward.
I beg your pardon?
I believe it's not just for the 9th Ward.
Okay, so then I would ask you to withdraw your motion and to send that to the proper committee so that they can be properly vetted. I thought, again, we have said over and over, if it's something in your own ward, I'm supporting it. But if it's for all of the ward, you may know that person. I don't know this person, and I would like to have a point of reference to be able to at least inquire from him, and you can't do that when you pass them from the floor. So I would ask for you to send that to the proper committee.
I have no problem with that. Withdraw my motion.
Okay, the second has been withdrawn from the Alderwoman from the 1st, and the motion has been withdrawn from the Alderman from the 9th. Alderman from the 9th, you may proceed.
I would request that this be sent to the Legislation and Rules Committee for vetting.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 9th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that the appointment to the Art Museum Subdistrict is sent to the Legislation and Rules Committee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Tax Increment Financing Commission. The reappointment of Philip Clavorn, the appointment of Spencer Owens, and the appointment of Bernard Powderly. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderman from the 3rd, you are recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the Tax Increment Financing Commission.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move that we send the mayor's recommendations to the Tax Increment Financing Committee to the HUD's Committee for review.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 3rd, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th, that we send the appointments to the Tax Increment Financing Commission to the HUD's Committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries.
That's the Senate report of city officials.
Please dispense with line item 8. Does anyone wish to take any bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? Does anyone wish to take any bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? Alderwoman from the 13th.
Madam President, I'd like to move Board Bill 173 off the informal calendar, please.
Madam Clerk, if you could please remove Board Bill number 173 from the informal calendar and place it on the regular perfection calendar.
So noted.
Does anyone wish to take any further bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? Anyone wish to take any bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? Seeing none, Alderwoman from the 1st, you're recognized on the motion to suspend the rules for the purposes of introducing Board Bill 210 for first reading.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend the rules for the purpose of introducing Board Bill number 210 for first reading.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 1st, seconded by the Alderman from the 5th, that we suspend the rules to introduce Board Bill number 210. This is a non-debatable motion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Aye. Alderman Oldenburg. Aye. Alderman Cone. Aye. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Balmer. Aye. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Tyus, 15 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion of the Alderwoman from the first. Madam Clerk, please place Board Bill 210 at the end of the first reading of Board Bills.
So noted.
First reading of Board Bills.
Board Bill 208, sponsored by Alderwoman Schweitzer. A board bill authorizing and directing the mayor and the comptroller of the city of St. Louis to execute a permanent irrevocable easement which shall give, grant, extend, and confer on the Metropolitan Sewer District, its agent, successor, and assign the exclusive rights to build and maintain a sewer or sewers, including water improvement, stormwater improvements on the strip or strips grounded described in Lot A of Bell Crest Plat and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 209, sponsored by Alderwoman Sanye, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71394, and ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on Tennessee Avenue in the 7th Ward. Board Bill 210, sponsored by Alderwoman Schweitzer, an ordinance pertaining to ordinance number 62885 and ordinance number 71656 to direct the comptroller to reallocate encumbered funds held in previous 28 wards, capital sub-accounts to the new 14 wards, capital sub-accounts of the ward, capital improvement sales tax fund determined by geographical overlay of the former wards with the new wards. That's the extent of first reading of board bills.
Madam Clerk, if you could please send Board Bill 210 to the Public Infrastructure Committee.
So noted.
Reference to Committee of Board Bills.
To the Public Infrastructure Committee, Board Bill 208, 209, and 210. That's the extent of reference to committee.
Second reading, report of standing committees.
The following board bills were reported out of Transportation and Commerce with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 170, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and the Missouri River Transportation for certain mooring rights for the Mississippi River under certain terms and conditions for a period of 10 years at a rate of $74,945 for the first year and increasing by 3% each year after, with 3 mutual options to extend for 5 additional years as set forth in a lease agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A containing a severability clause. Board Bill 171, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the City of St. Louis, Missouri and the Archers Daniel Midland Company for 24,722 square feet of real property in the near North Riverfront for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining railroad tracks under certain terms and conditions for a period of 10 years with 3 mutual options to extend for 5 years as set forth in a lease agreement attached as Exhibit A containing the severability clause. Board Bill 186, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission, the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the Director of Airports and the Comptroller of the City of St. Louis to enter into on behalf of the City of St. Louis the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Airport Aid Agreement for the air service promotion with the State of Missouri containing the severability clause. Board Bill 187, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission, the Comptroller, and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, making findings respecting to the transfer of a maximum of $13,772,769 of excess monies that the City of St. Louis intends to transfer from Debt Service Stabilization Fund to the Airport Revenue Fund during fiscal year 2024, containing the severability clause. Board Bill 188, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission, the Board of Public Service, the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, establishing and authorizing a public works and improvement program at St. Louis Lambert International Airport, providing for and consisting of capital improvement projects containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 201, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission, the Board of Public Service, authorizing the use of a construction management at-risk specialist for public works and improvement projects at St. Louis Lambert International Airport containing the severability clause. Board Bill 207, sponsored by Alderman Cone. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing and directing the issuance, establishment of terms, negotiated sale of airport revenue bonds not to exceed $320 million containing a severability and an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of HUD with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 174, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance approving a redevelopment plan dated November 1st, 2023 for North Grand, Natural Bridge, North Florissant, Cass, and Dr. Martin Luther King redevelopment area. Board Bill 196, sponsored by Alderman Vollmer. An ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission on December 13th, 2023 to change the zoning of property as indicated on district map from A, single-family dwelling district to F, neighborhood commercial district in City Block 4075 so as to include the described parcel of land in 4075 containing an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of public infrastructure with the due pass recommendation. Board Bill 148, sponsored by Alderwoman Keys. An ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394 to calm the flow of traffic on the 4100 through 46 blocks of Penrose Street, 41 through the 4600 blocks of Bessie Avenue, 41 through the 4600 blocks of Anderson Avenue, 41 through the 4600 blocks of Margaretta Avenue, and the 4000 through 4500 blocks of North Taylor Avenue. Board Bill 204, sponsored by Alderwoman Boyd and President Green. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing and directing the mayor and the comptroller of the City of St. Louis on behalf of the city to enter into and execute an agreement or agreements with the Missouri Department of Transportation for the receipt of MoDOT Highway Safety Grant funding, appropriating the sum of $60,000, which the city has been awarded as a MoDOT Highway Safety Grant for the purpose of implementing a pilot program for driver's education for low-income students enrolled in St. Louis public schools containing an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of public safety with the due pass recommendation. Board Bill 158, sponsored by Alderwoman Tyus, an ordinance prohibiting the issuance or transferring of any package or drink liquor license for any currently unlicensed premises within the boundaries of the 12th Ward Liquor Control District as established herein for a period of 4 years from the effective date hereof, containing an exception allowing during the moratorium period for the transfer of existing licenses under certain circumstances listed below containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 144 as amended, sponsored by Alderman Orion. An ordinance to amend the firefighters' retirement plan established by Chapter 4.19 of the City of St. Louis Revised Code by amending Section 4.19.050 and 4.19.060 to allow participants who have completed 30 years of service before obtaining the normal retirement age of 55 years to receive a normal retirement benefit without having those benefits reduced due to age. It will also allow grandfather members with 30 years of service to participate in the drop benefit without having the contributions arbitrarily reduced due to age. Board Bill 146, sponsored by Alderman Narayan. An ordinance to amend the City of St. Louis Revised Code so as to permit the Board of Trustees to the Firemen's Retirement System to simultaneously act as the Board of Trustees of the St. Louis Firefighters Retirement Plan, but not until such time as amendment to Missouri Revised Statutes 87.140, 87.145, 87.155, 87.260, 87.350 have become law to permit the Board of Trustees of the Firemen's Retirement System to simultaneously act as the Board of Trustees of the St. Louis Firefighters Retirement Plan containing an effective date. That is the extent of second reading report of standing committees.
Report of special committees.
We have none.
Please dispense with line item 15. Board bills for perfection consent.
Board Bill 199 as amended, sponsored by Alderman Cone, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on various blocks in the 3rd Ward. Board Bill 202, sponsored by Alderman Cone, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394 an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on various blocks in the 3rd Ward. Board Bill 200, Sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderman Narayan, Alderwoman Velazquez, Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Keys, and Alderman Aldridge. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing the Department of Public Safety to accept the 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant up to $456,683 from the U.S. Department of Justice, appropriating such funds to the Department of Public Safety, authorizing the expenditure of such funds to the extent received, authorizing contracts and other documents to expend such funds to the extent received, contained an emergency clause. That's the extent of board bills for perfection consent calendar.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adopt the board bills for the perfection consent calendar.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the board bills for perfection consent calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th. We adopt the board bills on the perfection consent calendar. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board bills for perfection.
Board Bill 173, sponsored by Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, and Alderman Narayan. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, amending ordinance number 62885 to direct the reallocation of encumbered funds but held in 28 sub-accounts of the Ward Capital Improvement Account of the Capital Improvement Sales Tax Trust Fund to the 14 sub-accounts of such account that correspond to the new 14 new wards, with the amounts allocated to the new sub-accounts determined by geographical overlay of the former wards with the new wards.
Alderwoman from the 13th, you are recognized on Board Bill 170, on the perfection of Board Bill 170. Alderwoman from the 13th, you are recognized on the perfection of Board Bill 173.
Okay. What am I doing? I'm all confused. Yeah. Yeah. Move to perfect Board Bill 173.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Move to perfect Bill 173.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 13th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we perfect Board Bill number 173. Is there any discussion? Alderwoman from the 12th. Yeah.
Madam President, members of the board, I stand to oppose the perfection of this board bill. I do it as the alderperson that was here when this whole ward capital was put together. I also stand to oppose it because I discovered back when I was the 20th ward alderwoman that the city keeps a slush fund that they don't tell us about. I got the newspaper article here and the numbers to back it up. Back in 2022, when we were asking questions about how they held up ward capital money and didn't give us the proper numbers and the thing.
Want to make sure that we are respectful to our colleagues when they're at the mic.
In a streets hearing, as we chided the people who were supposed to be getting our projects done, one of the people were there were BPS comptrollers, and we were saying, this is taking so long. Why is it taking so long? This money was for us, and we're supposed to be able to allocate it and get done. And they had all these reasons why they hold up stuff. And then I said, well, if you're going to be able to hold up stuff, and here's the article dated June 1st, 2022, then we should be getting interest on our funds. Guess what? We do get interest on our fund. In fact, it is actually in the original ordinance passed by Dan McGuire and Geraldine Osborne. And so it came for just the years. We started getting our funds 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 1, 2. So from those funds, just for those years, we had $4 million in interest that was a surprise to the aldermen. They had not told us, and they did not want us to know that. Well, that's when I got gerrymandered off the board. They did come back and recoup that money and give that to the aldermen. But since that time, I've been doing research and pulling. There is no place where they've shown us where the interest for the ward capital for all these funds are going. As we sit here and try to divide this, there's nothing that speaks to the interest of the ward capital. That is millions and millions of dollars. Also, when I was a 20th Ward Alderwoman, there's another $1.5 million that I told Rich Bradley about that belongs to me, and I've been asking for ever since I got down here. Where is my money? Because Representative Troop, or Alderman Troop, said he didn't get it. I talked to Alderman Craig Schmidt, he didn't get it. So it just went out to Neverland. And Rich Bradley told me, well, I don't know anything about that. Well, in digging with my paperwork, I have found where I sent that to BPS to be distributed on curbs and street pavement of alleys, and that's over 20 years ago. That money is not accounted for. So a little history about this ward capital. Ward capital could never, the tax that gives us ward capital could never get passed. For several years in a row, they tried to pass it, and the black side of town, North St. Louis, did not vote for it. We voted against it over and over again and killed it because we said at some point they are going to steal that money and it's not going to be allocated properly. And we said over and over. When the Freeman Bosley became the mayor in 1993, yes, I came in 93, he broke with us and agreed to pass the tax that will become ward capital. And we told him then, the mayor's father and I met with him and said, don't do that, Freeman. You need to look at how this thing is written because this is dangerous. We begged him not to do it. He passed it anyway with the assurance that we would never move any of the money out of North St. Louis. Well, that has just not been true. The money has been dipped and stolen, not out of North St. Louis. We've had ward capital put over into Forest Park, which the bill said you could not do. As recently as when Lyda Crewson was the mayor, and the former president was trying to sell the airport, and we were stopping him from doing that, he let the then mayor's budget go into effect, and that budget would, in effect, have taken away our ward capital and put it in the Forest Park. Francis Slade took money while I was off the board and put it into the city's budget. All of that is illegal. It is not allowed. It is not right. It is not correct. There are some people who are really upset about they want their money. I don't blame you. Everybody wants theirs. I want all of mine that belongs to my community. When I always talk about redistricting and picking up a ward, the reason they picked up my ward and moved and said they moved it illegally now, even Francis Slay says it's illegal, is because if you move a ward, they didn't look at acreage at all. The only thing they put about acreage was in about parks, but mysteriously did not say anything about acreage in wards. So when you picked up the 20th ward, which is illegal, and you moved it, you took my money and put it over someplace else, but not the money that was already encumbered. That just went into air, and there's nobody who can report for it. And Rich Bradley telling me that he doesn't know anything about it, it's not true, because now I've found the BPS files with Jonas Hubbard, a lady named, there were two other people that were my appointed to me to do my stuff at that time, and one of them is, I want to say, I can't remember the two names, but I found all of that now, and it's got the BPS stationery on it, it's got the BPS envelopes on it. So if Rich Bradley doesn't have it, where is it? I want to say, when I came back here in 2013, $400,000 was stolen from the city of St. Louis. $400,000 Joel Vodka went to jail for it, and another person. It was supposed to be coming from the Forestry Division. We never got an accounting of what happened to that money. Our original board bill, we're supposed to do an accounting of ward capital and park money every year. In fact, Ways and Means is tasked with that. If you read the board bill, that's what it says. They're tasked with that, and you're supposed to get a accounting, how much money was brought in, what it was used for, and it specifically says you cannot use that money for other things. You're not supposed to be able to move that money. But because there was nothing in there that talked about acreage, the Alderwoman from the 13th and I now have two of the largest wards in the city and tasked with trying to have the same money, but also we're trying to steal money that belongs. And I'm using the word steal because you have not given me an accounting of what and where that money is. Where is that money? If Craig Schmidt didn't get that money as a 20th ward, the new quote-unquote 20th ward Alderwoman, and Charles Quincy Troop was the first ward, where is my money? I could not find that stuff until recently. As I got into some of the last boxes that I have, I started finding all of this stuff. I had asked the Alderman from the 13th about having some kind of subcommittee to investigate. There are questions that were never asked, okay, about this ward money, that the Alderman from the first is like, I want my money. I don't care about her having her money. I care about her not getting my money. When you're doing a percentage and you haven't accounted for all the money, then you're stealing my money. I am not going to support stealing my money. And I've already talked to the former mayor. The comptroller will be, former comptroller will be one of our witnesses, along with all the records that are right here of why they have not given us a true accounting of the money. If you do not believe me, just read the original ordinance that says that interest is included. But nowhere do they tell us that it was interest. And if we get interest for several years of $4 million, then there may be, we don't know how much interest that has accumulated since then because it has not been accounted for. And it has not been accounted for where the rest of my money is. And I want all of my money accounted for, every penny of it. And everybody is worried about, I want mine. North St. Louis has been robbed of just by moving a ward, which never would have got passed if Freeman Bosley hasn't told the black people and assured them that that money would not have been stolen. That just moving a ward, that's $5 or $6 million of ward capital. You're making our wards bigger and bigger, and you're not giving the fair amount of money. There was never an anticipation at that time that there would be an illegal move to take ward capital and move it to another part of town, because it was supposed to be 12 wards in North St. Louis, 12 wards in South St. Louis, and 4 wards in the Central Quarter. And all of a sudden, when we had the most increase in population, and South St. Louis lost 35,000 people, we lost a ward. And everybody said we had to do that because we lost so much population. That is not true. South St. Louis lost as much. There was 30,000 Bosnians that were moved here, and that boosted up their population. Also, the previous redistricting, which had been in 1991, before we did the 2001, they put 1,000 less people in all of the North St. Louis wards, so that when we came to the 2001 redistricting, they said, oh, you have lost so much population. You didn't ever give us a fair amount of population. All of that is going to have to be litigated, because there's no way in the world that we're going to lose another $10 or $15 million without a litigation. There ought to be a proper accounting. If I'm not telling the truth, then I have to get on the floor and say it. But it's going to be hard to say I'm not telling the truth when there is a city post-dispatch accounting of we're supposed to be getting that money. And I have an accounting of how much interest each ward has for back then. But yet there's been no accounting since that time of any of our interests, where the rest of the money, what happened to projects that didn't get done. So the Alderwoman from the 13th told me several of her projects are not in there that didn't get done. Where is that money? Where is that money? Answer the questions, Paul Payne. Answer the questions, Rich Bradley. Answer the questions, Comptroller. Why is there not a detailed accounting of every ward? And then there should be an accounting of how much money was in the 20th ward that should have stayed there when we switched ward numbers. None of that have I been able to get. I've been asking for it for years and years. I finally was at the point when I could actually have a hearing on them, and then I lose my seniority. You should not pass this. You should not perfect it. It is a mistake. It's the stealing of our money. And if we don't have a proper accounting, then it leaves us with nothing to do but to go to court. Again, I will say, I rise in opposition to this, and everybody who says they want their money, imagine how we feel in North St. Louis when we've had our money stolen for years and years and years. You're talking about a few $1 million. I'm talking about $5 to $10 million. And I've been trying very quietly to get them to tell me where my money, and Rich Bradley just said, oh, I don't know anything about that. Now that I actually have dug up the stuff, my question now becomes, how can he not have records going back to when this started in 1994? And it's the same way some gentleman in the 4th Street of Parks Department could steal $400,000. That money came from someplace. I've defended Joe Vaca. Joe Vaca was my go-to guy when I was the 20th Ward alderperson. I said he could not have done it. And you know what? He could not have moved that money without Gary Best, who was the head of Parks, Recreation, Forestry, knowing about it or should have known about it. So we just have all of this money out here. People sit on the stuff and don't do it. They leave it out there. And then when aldermen come and go, they don't tell the next alderperson where the money is, and they try to drag their feet about doing things. I also found my original 20th Ward request about doing curbs and paving alleys back from 2001, 2002. This is ridiculous if we don't have an accounting. If there's no place where you can tell us where our money is, it is ridiculous. I stand in opposition. And if the alderwoman from the 13th is going to do this, when we find out where the money is, I hope she will transfer all of her money into the 12th Ward, because this is not a good board bill. Thank you.
Alderman from the...
Roll call.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman from the 8th Ward, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. In discussing this matter pretty extensively with some of my colleagues here, I think that the alderwoman has a point, and we should really be taking a look at the interest and some of the other potential lost in revenue that could be and maybe should be allocated to ward capital. For that reason, I'm going to be calling a budget hearing on Tuesday at 9:30 to take a look at these issues and to discuss them. In the meantime, however, I think it's important that we recognize that we've got to move forward with funding projects. So I do support moving forward, but I absolutely support taking a close look at what where the interest funds are, et cetera, and making sure that those are all accounted for. And I stand firmly committed to rectifying any discrepancies in that and making sure we can move forward with appropriate reappropriations as necessary. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 1st.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. I stand in support of this bill. This bill is a very real amount of money that is needed desperately in our city. We have projects that are part of this reallocation that are going to be going to bid in mid-February or early March, but cannot go to bid without this reallocation occurring. I know many of my colleagues are probably like me, in which you try to keep projects moving as much as possible and spend as much as possible of your ward capital on the projects that your constituents need. I know I do certainly need the money that will be reallocated in this bill in the 1st Ward, and my constituents are demanding it. And so I am going to listen to them first and foremost. So I appreciate that. I do want to just address a few things. I think having conversations about any accusation of a misallocation of money is worth discussing. And you know, this bill was on the informal calendar for a few weeks, and we did not have those discussions. And So it's time to keep moving, but I am glad that Alderwoman from the 8th is willing to have that hearing on Tuesday. I'm on the committee, and I will certainly be there and ready to talk. I did get some information from the comptroller regarding ward capital interest balances, in which the interest balances on our ward capital are put back in each of the different wards' accounts. So I'm happy to share that information with the Alderwoman, and I really appreciate everyone, hopefully at least the majority of folks, perfecting this today so that the incredibly needed projects in our ward, in our wards, in our city, in every neighborhood across the city can keep moving. This is our job, and that's what we're here to do. So I appreciate it, and I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor to Board Bill 173.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please make note of that, and if you could also add me as a co-sponsor as well. Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board, I hear what the people are saying. We want our money. We also want our money in the real 20th ward. We want all of our money. I actually have all of the 20th ward back, part of the 4th ward. There's interest from the 4th ward that has not been accounted for before it was. There's interest from the 18th ward that I have. There's interest from the 2nd ward. I actually did have this conversation with the Alderwoman from the 13th, telling her and giving her proof and showing her that this was a problem. So this is not something, she says she was under the understanding that there was going to be a special committee. I was waiting very patiently for it, because I already have most of the proof. I'm waiting for it to be called. But there's nobody who's waited longer than the people who live in my community for our money. When you perfect this bill, then you are going to then would have to have the majority of the people to say, okay, now we're going to send it back to perfection when anything and everything comes out. And I bet you now that we've put this out on the wire, they're going to find ways of what they can't find this money. But this money, every penny of it should be accounted for. Every penny of it should be accounted for by ward. Starting when there were 28 wards, where did the money go? And here's what you're going to find out. In the original board bills, which I have here, they actually laid out what was supposed to happen in each ward. They listed the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 14th, 15th. You can go to the original bills and it tells you what was being spent. What it doesn't tell you afterwards is if they actually did the work, or if they actually spent the money, or if they had money left over. If they had money left over, they just left it there. They're not counting it correctly. They're not doing it correctly. So if you perfect this board bill, everybody's going to say just what they have been saying. Oh, I want my stuff done. A week is not going to take anything away from putting it on the formal calendar to see if they can come up with these numbers. If they cannot come up with these numbers, then that is even more of a reason of there is something wrong. There's something wrong that two employees was able to steal $400,000 and no accounting for it. And everybody down here can go look it up that it happened, and nothing happened. Now we're in a hurry to pass this along because your constituents want what they want. But you are not in a hurry to make sure that there is a fairness. This is why originally I opposed ward capital. I'm in the newspaper saying it's not going to be done fair. When you get along far enough, people forget it. People say, I don't care about what was promised. I don't care about being fairness. The clerk knows it. So I guess subpoenas are going to have to fly, because everything I'm saying to you, the clerk of the city of St. Louis served as the 18th ward for the Board of Aldermen, serves as the 18th ward alderman, and he sat right there and he knows it. Not only does he know it, it's a whole bunch of other aldermen that know it. So you all can push this forward if you want to. It is a mistake. It is a stealing of funds. It is allowing the bureaucrats to drag their feet and not give an accounting, and then steal money from North St. Louis. You're already stealing money from North St. Louis when you have these. I have 3 wards. I should be getting 3 wards worth of money. I have 3 wards. I have all of the 4th, all of the old 20th, part of the 18th, part of the 2nd, part of the 1st, part of the 22nd. It makes no sense. This whole 14th ward was ridiculous. After we passed that ward capital without the restrictions that we have on the parks, and then we were able to do all kind of things slick. That is why you needed me to be gone And that's why the former mayor, Francis Slay, wanted me gone, because I'm the only person who keeps track of all this stuff. Everybody else says, oh, that's okay. We don't care about that money. It makes a difference. When people are asking why they can't get all these things in North St. Louis, because your ward capital is being stole. Not to mention your public works. Your money is being stolen, and they are doing it a little at a time, and they are able to do this kind of thing and say it's okay. And that's why they wanted a black face to be carrying this, so they can say, see, we're not being racist. This is racist. This is stealing. This is awful. This should not be occurring. And so, again, I will be showing up, asking questions. You call in the hearing, but I see I've put this off for too long. We have to go to court on this. There has to be an accounting. There has to be an accounting of every penny of this money. We should not have to stand here and fight on this board of aldermen because a few people want their money. But here we are 20-something years later, and my community has been without their money because they shuffled it around and said, oh, you shouldn't. This is ridiculous. So all you're talking about is the interest. It's not just the interest. It's also, where is the rest of the money? Where is the rest of the money? I will be voting no. This is a shame that we're doing this. And it's sinful. And anybody who votes for this is I don't even know how I can have a conversation with you anymore, because you are attacking North St. Louis. The money, we're not getting a fair chance already, and we're steady not getting a fair chance. We don't get people appointed to boards and commissions. We don't get people, we don't get fair park money. I got a chart of the park money. They give the parks based by acreage. So Forest Park gets more money than all the parks in the area. Then South St. Louis got 3 parks. Fairground and O'Fallon hardly get any money. This is all a bunch of crock. It's a bunch of another word that I want to say. In Black History Month, we should not be pushing this forward. We always got something we can do in Black History Month about how it's for the majority. This city is predominantly African American. We have never had predominant African Americans here at the Board of Aldermen. We didn't have it when we had the major increase. We then did we did the census, and in the middle of a pandemic, and so of course people stayed at home and they didn't answer it. So you get all these low numbers, but when you start reacting to people, you find out you represent a lot more people than this redistricting reflects. And to take this money is ridiculous. To pass this bill is ridiculous. Let them push it through. Let them push theirs through. Let them put their face on it. Do not pass this. Putting it back on the formal and waiting and making them answer that will not make a difference. And they're not going to be okay with putting it back if the money comes up. And I guarantee you, now that we've talked about it, they're running and hiding the money. But the money has to be accounted for. And I can't make up stories from 20 years ago in which I asked the same questions and pointed out inconsistencies. And there are continue to be inconsistencies. And the more you try to find out something, you find out that Rich Bradley has a lot of power to just sit up and not do things. He told us that in the Streets Committee, and when I was the chair of the Streets Committee, he has held up $7.6 million that we put for North St. Louis that have not gotten done. And he continues to hold up stuff, and he doesn't do that without that being Room 200. I will ask Room 200 if that comes over here to veto it. I don't believe she is, because she has shown a total lack of interest in North St. Louis, as many of you all. Don't come and take pictures with us on one day and then steal our money. I request a roll call, and this is ridiculous.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 13th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we perfect Board Bill number 173. There's been a request for roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Balmer. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys.
No.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
13 aye votes and 2 no votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion from the Alderwoman from the 13th to perfect Board Bill number 170. Board bills for report of engrossment.
Board Bill 189, 193, 194, and 129.
Third reading and final passage of board bills consent.
Board Bill 189, 193, and 194.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to adopt the third reading and final passage of board bills on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the third reading and final passage of board bills consent calendar.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st, that we adopt the third and final passage of board bills on the consent calendar. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Cone, Alderman Narayan, Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Velasquez, Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez, Alderwoman Keys, 13 aye votes and 1 no vote.
By your vote, you sustain the motion from the Alderwoman from the 10th to third read and finally pass the aforementioned bills. Third reading and final passage of board bills.
Board Bill 129, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, an ordinance approving a redevelopment plan dated August 23rd, 2023 for the 400 South 14th Street area.
Alderman from the 14th, you are recognized on the third reading and final passage of Board Bill 129.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move to third reading and final pass.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 14th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we third read and finally pass Board Bill 127. Alderman, you may proceed. Sorry, 129. Alderman, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We talked about this board bill last week, so I'll keep it short. This is a redevelopment plan for 400 South 14th Street, the Edison building, that would renovate the hotel. It would turn the hotel that is currently derelict into a more better hotel that would also generate a bunch of money for our city. There's 79 residents that live currently in that hotel. By upgrading the hotel, it would also bring in revenue from the individuals that live on the 8th to 12th floor to raise the property tax. Like I say, I think we had a good discussion on it last week, so I won't hold people. And with that, I close.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board, I rise in opposition to this board bill. Last week, I let my temper get the best of me because I was threatened. I do not vote for tax abatement, especially downtown. Especially, this is a second bite. I also got a report from the St. Louis Public Schools, and they had a hearing over at not St. Louis University, but Harris Stowe, about a week and a half ago. And one of the things they presented was tax breaks for St. Louis developers disproportionately harm Black and poor students, report said. And it does. It takes away, tax abatement takes away from our schools. One of the reasons I liked what the Alderwoman from the 1st did with seniors being able to get a stay on their taxes was that it was only for the St. Louis city and was not going to be for St. Louis public schools. That is not what has happened here. The project in question has already gotten tax abatement. Whatever their problems are, they need to put their money in there or find a different way to finance it. We, in fact, need to find a different way to finance doing development for downtown and the central quarter especially. That does not include the St. Louis Public Schools. In fact, we should be careful all over, and I am careful. Our children are very important. They should be able to get an education. They've been robbed because they actually had a lawsuit brought out in their behalf back when Miss Liddell sued to get the equal schools, to get equal teachers, to get equal books, and to have the schools in St. Louis, North St. Louis, taken care of the same way that they did other schools around the city and in the county. Instead of Miss Liddell getting what she sued for, we got desegregation, and we bussed our students out to the county. But we also gave the money to the county, which robbed our schools of millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it also robbed them of our scholars, and it robbed them of our athletes. And they were able to decide who they kept and then send the rest of the students back. And that is a mistake. That was a mistake. I remember Onion Horton talking about that all of the time. If, in fact, those people were discriminating against the North St. Louis schools, then redress would not to be to send the money. When you send the money with the schools, with the children, you rob the schools that are school children that are still there of their ability to get an education, of their ability to go to safe schools, of their ability to have quality teachers. And that has been going on for years and years and years. And then we have this tax abatement that's going on now. And it's been going on in the central quarter and downtown for years. And when I first came here, the Post-Dispatch did a wonderful article showing how all of that happened. But that was 30 years ago. And there's 30 more years on top of that. There's hardly any tax abatement in North St. Louis. And far south, there's hardly any. Southwest either. But there are tax abatements all downtown, and having a second bite of the apple is a mistake, and I am not going to support that. That should not be okay for our children not to get an education. And the proper way to talk to me and to try to make sure that I vote the correct way from unions, this is what the St. Louis Public Schools Union did, which is to give me information, not to threaten me about you won't be with me, but to say this is why this is a bad idea. When you send me articles about tax break for St. Louis developers disproportionately harm Black and poor students, you got my attention. You've lobbied me the correct way. I cannot in any good conscience support this, and I will be voting no. Thank you. And I ask for a roll call.
Discussion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Alderman from the 14th, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I do think facts are important. We continue to talk about how we're robbing our young people, and I don't think nobody at this Board of Aldermen, the second youngest person here, definitely don't care about young people. In 1999, the city approved this incentive for this hotel. It was a derelict hotel before it actually was a hotel. It was a warehouse. At that time, they improved the incentives, which moved 76 residents in that building. Currently, so when we talk about incentives was giving, 1999, I was in kindergarten, so it was a long time. So this isn't like a recent incentive that was given to this location. With that incentive, it actually brought in more revenue. When another developer came in and started to not upgrade the hotel and it went down again, actually the city lost revenue. If these incentives are not approved, the real value of the taxes from these parcels is likely to continue to decline. We've seen over the last 10 years providing less and less revenue on this project will also provide less funds to SLPS. If this is approved, the incentive revenue for SLPS is projected to be $1.3 million. If approved, it's projected to be $1.3 million over 10 years, $3.5 million over 15 years, and $6 million over. With that, Madam Clerk, or Madam President, and members of the board, I close.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 14th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we third read and finally pass Board 129. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone. Alderman Orion. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanier. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Keys, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
No.
Alderwoman Keys. 9 aye votes and 5 no votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion to third read and finally pass Board Bill number 129. Report of finally passed and signed by the President.
Board Bill 189, 193, 194, and 129.
All other business being suspended, the President shall in open session affix her signature hereto to the end that these may become law. First reading of resolutions in reference to committees.
We have none.
We can dispense with line item 20. Second reading of resolutions, committee reports, and adoptions.
From the Transportation and Commerce Committee, the reappointment and appointment of the St. Louis Port Authority.
Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on Mayor Jones' appointments to the St. Louis Port Authority.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments and reappointments to the St. Louis Port Authority.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the St. Louis Port Authority. Any discussion? Alderwoman from the 12th.
Madam President, members of the board, I have an inquiry from, I guess, the Alderman from the 3rd.
Would the Alderman from the 3rd yield to questioning from the Alderwoman from the 12th? Alderwoman, you may proceed.
Were these appointments put in your committee?
They were.
And did you have a hearing on these appointments?
I did.
And was
Monday
that
afternoon.
hearing on the agenda or the calendar anywhere? Because when I saw the posting, I didn't see those appointments. So were they properly posted?
The meeting notice was properly posted.
The meeting was posted, but was one of the things you also have to meet and post about is you have to say what was being done. Was there a posting that there would be a hearing about the members of the Port Authority?
I publicly announced that the committee would be hearing these in committee on the Friday
I understand what you said. Was it properly posted on the board agenda, either digitally or outside the board? Because I don't see it. And I want to, and I have copies. Where is it? Because if it wasn't, then it's not properly before us.
So I announced it, Alderwoman, and also, that would have been an oversight on the clerk's part. However, it was communicated in the meeting Friday prior, and these appointments are not required to be approved by the committee. They're required to be approved by the board as a whole.
But once you sent them to committee, then how we know that they're there is that they're supposed to, once we put something in committee, it's supposed to be posted, what we're going to be doing, what we're hearing, and you need to look at the sunshine law. And then if you send them there and then you don't have them posted, then that doesn't put not only me on notice, it also does not put the public on notice if they want to address those issues at all. You saying it is not the requirement of what should be done. What should be done is it should be either on our digital notice and or outside the board, and neither of those were done. And I would say that this is a violation of the sunshine. You did send it there, and then you had a hearing that was not properly before your committee, and I'm going to vote no, and I'm going to object to this because this is a sunshine violation, and we should send it back and properly post it. And I've had that done to me before, and I didn't get past it. I had to wait because they didn't properly do it, and it's not properly before us because it was not properly noticed up. And I will ask for a roll call if we're going to continue with this, because this is a violation of the sunshine.
Any further discussion? Alderman from the 3rd, or Alderwoman from the 10th?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I renew my motion to approve the mayor's reappointments and appointments to the St. Louis Port Authority.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd, that we approve Mayor Jones' appointments to the St. Louis Port Authority. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Narayan. Alderman Balmer. Alderwoman Velazquez. Alderwoman Sanye. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Browning. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Tyus.
No.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Aldridge. President Green.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys. 12 aye votes and 2 no votes.
By your vote, you've sustained the motion from the Alderman or Alderwoman from the 10th to approve the mayor's appointments to the Port Authority.
That's the extent of second reading of resolutions, committee reports, and adoption.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have none.
We can dispense with line item 23, announcements.
Tuesday, February the 6th, 2024, Budget and Public Employees will have a committee hearing in the Kennedy Room at 9:30 a.m. HUDs will have a meeting at the Kennedy Room at 11 a.m. Thursday, February the 8th, 2024, Special Committee on Reducing Red Tape will have a committee hearing in the Kennedy Room at 3:30 p.m. Friday, February the 9th, 2024, full board meeting in chambers at 10 a.m. That's the extent of the announcements.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 14th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I would like to make an announcement that next Saturday in the College Hill area, myself and State Representative of the 77th District, Kimberly Ann Collins, will be hosting a College Hill check-in. It will be from 11:30 to 2 p.m. at Bryan Hill Elementary. Also want to thank the Alderwoman from the 13th Ward for putting on a wonderful Black History Month celebration. It's been 10 years since legends, some in this room and some not, have passed a resolution where the city of St. Louis started raising the Pan-African flag. And I'm taking a playbook out of the alderman from the Fifth Ward used to do, but I guess he don't have too much fun in them doing fun facts. So for each day of Black History Month, I will give a fact so people can remember why Black people are so amazing. In August 1995, at the age of 20, Raven Wilson became the first African American to receive a contract to dance full-time with a major ballet company. So again, happy Black History Month, happy Black Excellence, and I look forward to more facts every Friday.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 3rd. Alderman from the 3rd. Nope, you're just standing. All right. Alderman from the 9th.
There we go. Thank you. Just want to announce that Alderwoman Clark Hubbard and I will be hosting a joint town hall at 6:30 p.m. on Monday. That'll be at Union Avenue Christian Church. We're going to have Gabe Gore, our circuit attorney, as our special guest, as well as our neighborhood improvement specialist to talk about the problem property process. So if you're a 9th or 10th Ward resident, please join us on Monday at 6:30 at Union Avenue Christian Church. That's 733 Union Boulevard. And there.
Alderman from the 5th.
Just rode my horse in. All right, we'll have a legislation meeting Tuesday at 2 p.m. to listen to the appointment of the Art Museum Subdistrict.
Alderwoman from the 6th.
It's a new program between the City of St. Louis and Regional Arts Commission. It's called ARPA for the Arts. So it's funding for 2 murals in each ward. And so I've talked to the Regional Arts Commission. I'm really excited about funding to local artists to make the sixth ward even more beautiful, and we'll be doing the same across all the wards. So the applications will be open from now, I believe, until mid-March on the Regional Arts Commission website. And if you have questions, you can ask me or reach out to RAC. Thank you.
Alderwoman from the 1st.
Thank you. I'd like to announce a public infrastructure and utilities meeting on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024 at 3:30 p.m. in the Kennedy Room. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the 7th.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. St. Louis, today is the last day to go on the RAM settlement portal and give your 10 tokens to the idea that you would like to be funded. Today is February 2nd. I know it has come fast. We've gotten over 13,000.
Almost to 15,000.
Almost to 15,000 folks who have registered, who have voted. So please get your tokens in. Today is the deadline. That website is stlouis.labcitizens.co. So go there, get those tokens in. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can email myself or any alder, and we will send you the link if you need to still, you're confused about where to go. But please make sure that you go and do that. I'm excited about the, 15,000, but we have a city of almost 300,000, so let's get as far as we can. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? I do want to piggyback on the comments from the Alderwoman from the 7th, that tonight at midnight is the closing of this portion of the Citizen Lab portal, and 15,000 registrants is actually quite amazing. And I really want to thank this body for all of the work that you've done getting this out to your neighborhoods through your community meetings, and also want to thank our media partners who have been really great in getting this out on TV and helping us get reach a larger audience. So this isn't the final stage of the portal, but if each round we keep picking up more and more and more people, we're super excited for the feedback that we are getting. Second thing I want to say is just to thank everybody for wearing your red today in honor of Wear Red Day for Health. And I want to give a special shout out to my good friend Rachel D'Souza, who will be joining us next week with her children. She suffered a heart attack shortly after giving birth, and in what was called a widowmaker heart attack, and has become a huge champion for heart health. And I really appreciate everybody for wearing your red today in support of those who have had heart disease, but also to bring awareness to heart health. Alderwoman from the 7th.
I also forgot this in reference. I know we're wrapping up one stage February 2nd. But in reference to Committee of the Whole, I also want to let the public and board members know that we're going to call our next Committee of the Whole meeting on February 15th at 6 p.m. We are working on one agenda item, but one is confirmed. We're going to have Kitty from Explore St. Louis come talk to us. I know there's been some conversation in the media about the discussion of funds for a convention center. So the purpose of the meeting is to allow for her to come and talk to all of us together at one time, give us space to ask any questions that we may have, and make sure we're having, a conversation not based in hearsay, but, keep this process public and transparent and inclusive. So if all my colleagues want to put that on your calendars, and I'm also you all will receive an email shortly where you can respond and send me any questions that you may want to get ahead of. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman from the 14th.
I'll keep it quick. I also want to thank our clerk, Sharita Rogers, for sending out the email and organizing everybody to where we're at. For bringing awareness to heart disease. I know she has lost somebody very special to her, but I just want to thank you for bringing awareness about this, because it's important. A lot of people don't know about it. I've learned some stuff after I did some research, but I just want to say thank you for organizing this and continuing to use this is one of many ways to remember somebody who meant somebody very special to you. So thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderwoman from the 10th, you are recognized on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. All members were present this morning.
Good job. Alderwoman from the 10th, you're recognized on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I move that we adjourn until Friday, February 9th, 2024 in the Board of Aldermen.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 7th, that we adjourn until Friday, February 9th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.